straight off the jumbo jet. 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 Straight from the airport, straight into bed. Straight off the jumbo jet. Straight off the jumbo jet. Straight off the jumbo jet.
Coming from more. Boom. When you say we clear out the way.
Kaboom! It's restricted zone.
When you say we clear out the way. Alright. What is the meaning, man? Leave me alone. What is the meaning, pet? Leave me alone. Alcohol in me on. Leave me alone. What is the meaning, man? Leave me alone. Alright, no. Like a Baptist we coming down. We beating drum and we a kingdom. Don't come around cause you know we dumb. I don't care what they say, pushing you don't want you in my way. I'm a real madman, I can't change my way. Real madman, I can't change my way.
Fellas, if your girlfriend pass no disrespect, I will touch it. I that kind of stupid jab, no other jab, no bad like that.
I see, I'm mad. You black and ugly, you black and ugly. When you say we clear out the way. When you say we clear out the way. Alright. What is the meaning, man? Leave me alone. What is the meaning, man? Leave me alone. Alcohol in me on. Leave me alone. What is the meaning, man? Leave me alone. Alright.
If you take a knife and you cut my skin, I show you go see. We share the same blood. Yeah. All of we coming from different ends. Look deep in your history. We from the same cloth. 2009 and 10. All of we stay one. We set this is day one. From night till the day come. We under the same sun. Jump up with your day one. Don't stop being afraid, come. We all in the same jump.
Turn up the mic. When I say I'm fed up with heart, all you feel is joke I'm making. I don't want to hate on love, but sometimes I keep debating. She say she only lover, she only friend. We make a wish, I eat with pen. I sleep and I had a dream, wake up and I make a vow. Soon as everything complete, we saw one now. What I do wrong again, lad? Tell me what I do wrong again. People calling me name, lad. They say I get hard again. The bush a cut it, the garden a fuck it, put the clothes in a bucket. But the girl she keep on complaining. When I do it, they say put your back into it. All I know I try, she live calling with another guy. What I do wrong again, lad? Tell me what I do wrong again. People calling me name, lad. They say I get hard again. I buy she chocolate, I buy she rose. I push she out, I take she back, I pick up the clothes. I never leave her, but people tell me she hard. And now she find a man and she telling me she done. What I do wrong again, lad? Tell me what I do wrong again. People calling me name, lad. They say I get hard again.
So when I dead, put jab on me tombstone. Man, when I dead, put jab on me tombstone. What, man? I'm telling you, black blood in me vein, black blood in me vein, black blood in me vein. Mass we going insane.
See, we share the same blood. Yeah. All of we coming from different ends. Look deep in your history. We from the same cloth. 2009 and 10. All of we stay one. We set this is day one. From night till the day come. We under the same sun. Jump up with your day one. Don't stop being afraid, come. We all in the same jump.
Turn up the mic. When I say I'm fed up with heart, all you feel is joke I'm making. I don't want to hate on love, but sometimes I keep debating. She She say she only lover, she only friend. We make a wish, now eat with pen. I sleep and I had a dream, wake up and I make a vow. Soon as everything complete, we saw one out. What I do wrong again, lad? Tell me what I do wrong again. People calling me name, lad. They say I get hard again. The bush a cut it, the garden a fuck it, put the goods in a bucket. But the girl she keep on complaining. When I do it, they say put your back into it. All I know I try, she live calling with another guy. What I do wrong again, lad? Tell me what I do wrong again. People calling me name, lad. They say I get hard again. I buy she chocolate, I buy she rose. I push she out, I take she back, I pick up the clothes. I never leave her, but people tell me she hot. And now she find a man and she telling me she done. What I do wrong again, lad? Tell me what I do wrong again. People calling me name, lad. They say I get hard again.
So when I dead, put jab on me tombstone. Man, when I dead, put jab on me tombstone. What, man? I'm telling you, black blood in me vein, black blood in me vein, black blood in me vein. Mass we going insane.
Yes, indeed. I almost didn't stop. I thought the vibration and the rhythm and the lyrics, I mean, for a continuation of last night. But of course, I am conscious enough. I am sensitive enough. I am responsible enough to know that, of course, it is, of course, the Saturday edition of the Corridor Transformation. And therefore, I say a wonderful good night to all and sundry, wherever you are in Trinidad, wherever you are on the East-West Corridor in particular, wherever you are in Tobago, and of course in the total diaspora, whatever time of the day it is in your neck of the woods. Pleasant good day to you. Yes, indeed. As from last Thursday, well, we have a bumper program once again, and I can tell you, both on YouTube as well as Facebook, we continue, of course, to make the waves as we continue to highlight issues in a different light. And while, of course, there are those who may want to, of course, give instantaneous proof of what they are saying, I think in terms of elaboration, in terms of specificity, in terms of verification without doubt, in terms of making certain that there can be no questions as to the veracity and the truth and the validity of what we say on this program. And of course, tomorrow we will continue tomorrow morning with Dr. Khalid and myself from 8 to 10 o'clock tomorrow morning, Sunday morning, yes. We continue to work. And of course, you may say, well, I had an overlap from last night because, as Andy would say on the ground report, that I would be at Spargos. Well, yes, I enjoy myself, but it's always for a dual or multiple purpose. You see, I do not go and enjoy myself merely for enjoyment's sake. I also observe, particularly around, let's say, July, when at some 16,000 at minimum would come out of the school system, the secondary school system, ending their school life. I would want to, how many new kids are on the block? How many of them haven't found their new freedom, so to speak? Some now turning 18, and whether, of course, they will gravitate to a life that, of course, could be only considered, according to the sociologists, the subterranean culture, where, of course, you go to a bar, you look, of course, for entertainment, yes, but you look, of course, for maybe intimation as well, and then of course a child is produced, for example, which is typical because of course the lady may be looking for maybe protein, but apart from enjoyment, and then of course the cycle continues with respect of course to young persons who would of course produce unpreparedly another child or a child, and the cycle continues in terms of poverty, in terms of gravitation to crime and criminality, and in terms of the deteriorating socio-economic and psycho-cultural conditions of various sectors of the society. Unfortunately, there is a cyclical situation as well, where people who are born into poverty believe that they must live in poverty and also of course die in poverty, and that should be spread across successive generations. No, there must be a generational break from that generational scourge or curse, and therefore a part of the objectives and the role of the corridor transformation is to provide those alternatives, those opportunities that may exist that one may not believe or may not be fortunate to encounter. And so, because that is far removed, what one is experiencing coming out of the family relationship, the neighborhood relationship, the community relationship, people believe that they are bound to that. Well, I say to you that you are a human being, and you can be, once you have a dream and a vision, you must find ways and means, and an ambition and a tenacity. You must find ways and means of achieving those or that ambition, particularly if it is positive. I am talking here about people who want to be maybe the best mechanic, the best plumber, the best carpenter, the best businessman, the best doctor, the best lawyer, the best banker. That is what I'm talking about. The best seaman, the best policeman, the best soldier. And we can go on and on across the various spectrum of human endeavor, that all of which is required in order to what? To have a society. Because the society, as some of the sociologists will say, the functionalist sociologists will say, that a society is like the body. Every part is functional and contributes, of course, to the whole. So could you imagine a body without a heart? Could you imagine a body without nostrils and, of course, lungs, eyes, ears, and the ability to speak or inability to speak? So the functionalist sociologists, they see society as a human body, and therefore the extent to which it is healthy, the extent to which it can function, the extent to which it can achieve the objectives for all its component parts is dependent on the functionality and the efficaciousness of the functioning of the various parts. In other words, the society is the sum of its respective parts. Let me repeat that. The society is the sum of its respective parts, just like a body. So, with that in mind, and with the continuation of course, of Dr. Rowley and his convoluted and his misinformation, disinformation, attempts to deflect and totally a character that engages in charades and, of course, semantics and theatrics, not forgetting and not to take out of the equation the semantics, circumlocution, roundabout talk, misinformation, disinformation, and as if those were not enough, he still tries to deflect and detour blame on others for his own doing, his own wrongdoing. Well, I got a piece of information that I will want to share with you up front, and it is very applicable to the question of crime and criminality in the country. You see, because quite apart from the multiple excuses that Dr. Rowley would have made, starting, of course, by accepting the fact that if it is that a government is unable to address the socio-economic and psycho-cultural and the challenges that the society faces, and he went further whilst in opposition, that when such a situation manifests or subsists in a society where the government of the day begins to blame the opposition for its incompetence, impotence, and inability to manage the affairs of the country, then they have lost their mandate. They have lost their functionality as a government. Those were the words of Dr. Keith Christopher Rowley, yes, our present Prime Minister. I know that you are laughing, and you should be laughing all the way back. All the way back. Like Broadmouth, all of the way back. Because we now know that that was platitudinous, superficial, and superfluous babblings of a dictator who would have said anything to be where he is today. Nothing different to Hitler and them fellas, and then we will deal with Hitler and Mussolini and others on our next day. Maybe I might do it tomorrow, just to give you an idea as to the similarity and the parallels and the typical way dictators and evil people operate. They are heartless, they are brutal, they are inimical to themselves, the society, and those around them, as they poison even the atmosphere. And I'm talking here by way of policies and programs that are not only disappointing, not only contradicting or contradictory to what they would have said in the beginning as they journeyed to the office of Prime Minister, or to that what I consider to be honorable, and I will go as far as to say celestial. It is a spiritual thing. It is an onerous thing. It is a serious thing to be Prime Minister in a country, or leader in general of a country. And it doesn't matter whether it's a small country in terms of geographic space and or population. The fact is that there are fundamental issues that must be addressed if you are given the mantle, the sacred mantle of leader. And what we are seeing in the context of Trinidad and Tobago is a bizarre display of not just opportunism, not just disappointment, not just incompetence, not just loquacious and meaning talkative or garrulous talkative individuals who could assess the situation in Trinidad and Tobago better or equal to most. Better and equal to most. When you hear Hines talk, and when you hear Rowley talk, and when you hear Penelope Beckles talk, and when you hear Donna Cox talk, And when you hear Al-Rari talk, and when you hear the assassin talk, and when you hear Imsbert talk, it is as smooth and as cognitively or intellectually relevant as drinking a smooth off. As drinking a smooth off. Yeah. It is that smooth. It is that apparently relevant. It is that salubrious. But at the end of the day, the talk is just that. It does not match the action. Because that is what we want. The proof of the pudding is always with the action, with the policy, with the rolling out, and with the consequential or concomitant or parallel improvement to one's circumstance. And I am not the type to accept that when Rowley and them said that before the 2015 elections, that if on the 8th of September, the elections being on the 17th of September 2015, on the 8th of September, if you get up to the same circumstance, you will be in fact doing yourself an injustice, and you will, of course, somehow he concluded that the Kamala Prasad UNC administration would have been doing so poorly that if you vote for them and return them to office in 2015, you will be making a sad mistake. Sad mistake. And he went on to suggest that it is about who could do more with less. In that statement, I find it extremely difficult to accept, and only a sycophant, a blind person, or a person who is so damn irresponsible and lacking common sense will want to conclude that the circumstances of the country in 2015 would have been such. Dr. Rowley spoke about improvement. It could not have been a retrogression of our circumstances. Any common sense person applying their intelligence to those will clearly conclude that it was about building upon what was there and moving further and further into prosperity, greater security, and of course a better quality of life and standard of living, and that we will have no problems with issues such as property tax, or we will have no issue with having to fight to increase our wages and salaries, because the cost of living would be so equitable to, of course, a living wage or the living circumstance for which money has to be applied. The conclusion had to be then, and Rowley knew that, and that is what is much more despicable. And these people are con men and con women who, of course, have deceived us, because at the end of it all, it is the total opposite from day one. From day one. He told us that there will be no removal of subsidies. Imsbert goes. Not only did he tell us after Dr. Rowley told us, of all places in Laventille, in visiting a school, to wean off the government. You must wean off the government. But subsequently, and in turn, Imbert as finance minister told us that the subsidies that are paid on electricity and water has to be revisited. The government could no longer carry that responsibility, all that kind of hogwash. But before you came into office, you gave us a picture that you have the ability to build on what was there before. And even with less resources, you will be able to still advance Trinidad and Tobago. And we are now living in a dystopia. We are now living in a retrogressive state of affairs. We are now seeing murders by the minute. People would be lucky in certain sectors of the society if they had 2 meals for the day, if they can send their children to school, if they can pay their rents, if they can withstand as young, vulnerable girls, women, who would have been accustomed to a quality of life and standard of living, or with the concomitant or with the commensurate cost at the time of food. Today, they are so vulnerable that rape, that murders and killings, that abuse has now become the order of the day in only 8 short years. 8 short years. Having started and deposited, the people depositing their goodwill in favor of Rowley and his gang now of a cabal, a mafia syndicate, characters of unsavory nature, starting of course in 2015 by saying he could do more with less. But let me get to the question of crime and criminality. There has been so much murders this year that one has lost count. What you know is that we are living in a Russian roulette situation where new kinds of heinous crimes are being added on to what we already know, whether it's house invasion, they call it now home invasion, or where women and whole families are raped, buggered, or hog-tied, or killed. That's a new one. That's a new development. That's a phenomenon in the criminal justice, or should I say, the crime and criminality existential situation in Trinidad and Tobago. Real. You're having difficulty in sending your child to school on his or her own. You're having difficulty in, of course, trusting the transportation, the person who may be responsible for taking that child to and possibly from school. You're having difficulty with even questioning the integrity of the school teachers and the personnel and the staff itself, whether it be teaching staff or non-teaching staff or security. It is that bad. And while all of that is happening, as I observed sometime, and I told someone that, listen, we are having thousands of cars every year added on to that which is here already. And yet still there seem to be simultaneously a kind of myopia, a kind of intellectual, what I consider to be a decline and possibly deterioration and abandonment. Because while that is happening, you have less gas stations, thousands more cars, less gas stations. Gas stations were closed down or down. At a time when there were much less cars, you had more gas stations. What is that phenomenon and the genesis of it? Has to be with the policy positions and smack in line with and in the center of all of that is our decision makers. And to me, that is abominable. But the point I am making is that you cannot tell us that, listen, you could do more with less. You will not interfere with the subsidies. You will not engage in property tax. You will not be harsh to us because you understand, and then turn around and you are talking property tax and making all kind of lame duck. There could be no excuse for that. There could be no justification for that. None whatsoever. Rowley can say what you want. There could be none. You are a man of extreme, plagued with extreme lying and deception. And when one compares that with, of course, all of the goings on in the government and government ministers lining their pockets, accommodating their friends and family and associates, and those that prefer, and so much so that Rowley has created what is known now as the 1%, and that has been accepted. And he says that he don't mind them getting richer because they will take care of the rest of us. And of course, human nature is one that is nestled in greed. The more you see is more you want. When it was suggested that public servants work at home after COVID, he then said, I know Trinidadians, they will stay home and not work. In other words, they will stay home and not work. So it's not that he doesn't know, but yet still telling us just the other day in a press conference when the question was posed to him that when property tax is implemented, he doesn't expect landlords to raise the rent. And suggesting somehow that buffoon, that wicked, nefarious, ugly, diabolical, dangerous, and evil individual, the devil personified, he has the audacity, the temerity, the gall, and the effrontery to tell us that landlords will not, he's confident landlord will not raise their rent. I'll tell you why he said that. It has nothing to do with wishing the circle. He even wishing that it was so. Because if you could tell us that you as government don't trust your own employees to stay at home because of the nature of Trinidadians, because he know them more than anybody else, and therefore in that context they are unscrupulous, they are to do what is required of them remotely or by virtue of social media or the use of the information technology, how could it be? And why would you try to hoodwink the population by telling them that when property tax is rolled out, landlords will not, you don't expect landlords to raise the rent? I watch you. Let me show you how not just disingenuous be an appropriate term for persons who are not inclined to spontaneously conjure and manufacture evil. But for Rowley, it is absolutely dishonest. Dishonest. He's a dishonest man. And dishonorable. How could you know that workers will not work to their optimum if they are left alone and unsupervised? From the government perspective, and you don't know that the experience has been, there is of course precedent, he must know that when the subsidies were removed from the various fuels, taxi drivers and of course the maxi associations and so on raised their fare. They raised the taxi fare. He pretended he don't know that and make that deliberate, misleading and wicked statement only to appease not us. I am sure that nobody takes that kind of ambulatory and of course totally insane statement seriously. He must know if he removes subsidy, and he was saying the same thing that they don't expect the taxi drivers to raise because it's only by a few cents. Every damn thing raised after that. So Rowley doesn't expect that when property tax comes out for landlord to raise the rent. He doesn't know that. He says no. And I'm going to tell you the most bizarre alternative and the most appeasement, which in itself is another devastating, ugly, deliberate, wicked mama guy that he would come up with for only talk and for talk's sake. Because on top of that, and I'm posing that question to all of you out there, because on top of that, simultaneously and at the same time, electricity rates will climb. And of course, whilst in most cases it is not the responsibility of the landlord to pay the electricity that his or her tenant burns or utilizes, but I am certain that in situations where you have to pay light bills as part of your rent because the meter is being shared among different apartments and or parts of the building that are operated or utilized by tenants, that's a certain increase for sure. Rowley pretending that he doesn't know that. Far less for the mere fact that they have to pay increased property tax, or I'm talking here about landlords. You're telling me that they will not raise their rent? And these fellas so wicked, both he and Imsbert. You know what they said? That if most people electricity is less than $300, so you won't have to pay any increase in those circumstances. He said most people, boy. Most people, most people started 20, 30, 40 years ago in a board house. And today, with maybe in the context of bedrooms, maybe a 1 bedroom, a 2 bedroom, now they are living, of course, in very comfortable circumstance, a bigger house, more bedrooms. In the board house, maybe one bulb could have, of course, lit the entire room. And Rowley and them know that. And don't tell me I know what I'm talking about, because it was in 2009 when, of course, it was first raised by the Manning administration of the parliament, defending his own constituencies and saying that they are unable to pay $100, and he himself don't like to pay money, and he will have a difficulty in writing out a check if, of course, his electricity is if he has to pay, of course, this new rate. The debate was about property tax. So he knows the man is simply a criminal, and we can't get away from that in more ways than one. That is how he is, and we must accept that for what it is. So they will tell you now to placate, superficially, of course, and amorphously, that you can't fathom that most people paying $300 in light bill. It's because most people are not paying $300 in light bill. That is why they could, of course, say $300 you don't have to pay the increased rate. That is why. Nobody is stupid. It is just like saying there is 3% unemployment in the country, and we know that is not so, and the trade unions, of course, made it very clear, and they understand that as well. A person, good night. Welcome to the corridor. Welcome to the corridor. Person, good night. Person, good night. All right. Well, of course, we appear to have lost that. Of course, don't forget, we are both on, of course, YouTube and Facebook. So we are there, and we are, of course, beaming, and we might have a little static here and there with the internet, but we will fix that over time. As I've always said, just like Confucius would have said, the longest journey begins with what? A single step. A single step. And that, of course, but what we are doing here now is avoiding the repercussions and the manifestation of that, what I consider to be acrid, well beaten saying that the people who don't learn from the past are doomed to repeat it, and a people as well who do the same thing over and over, particularly if it is inimical to them, and expecting a different result, had to be either they're mad or they are damn fools. So to put back Rowley there, whether then or in future, we had to be mad or fools. But we know it is not as simple as that. We know that Rowley and they are not lying down, and they will continue, of course, to conjure up and to manufacture and to concoct and to, of course, deceive in many ways and utilize the resources of the country in order, of course, to buy their way back into government in order to do us harm and danger and evil, and say we want none of it, like Tobago. We must say we want none of it, like Tobago. Tobago rejected that after they would have put a third of the budget towards Tobago after that 6-6 situation in order to break the tie in their favor and to, of course, manifest their illegal and irresponsible and immoral and unethical act of going to the parliament and adding 3 seats to the Tobago, and then, of course, going in Tobago and divide up or created those 3 seats from PNM dominated areas, because all Rowley wants is just to get one, one, and he don't mind. He will act as though, as we have seen, as a runaway dictator, as we are seeing now, is 22 seats alone. Imagine if that situation there in Tobago gave Rowley and they just 1 seat more than the PDP. They will act as though they had a handsome mandate, a massive mandate to govern Tobago, as they are doing now with only 22 seats. It's as if the opposition doesn't have 19, and as if they got a mandate and they're trying, of course, to even undermine the constitution. And we saw that, of course, in the most glaring and most embarrassing internationally and otherwise of ways, when, of course, he went to the parliament and with his minuscule and emaciated, yes, because he went in, of course, in 2020 with 23 seats and came out with 22. So it is emaciated, it is thin. And take that and go to the vote in the parliament to postpone the local government elections. So we know we have a runaway, insane lunatic at the head of our affairs in this country. And from the beginning, he demonstrated, of course, that proclivity. It's just that we didn't pay attention to what Manning was saying. And I have no difficulty if people did not take Manning seriously, because it was a case of he didn't want Rowley to rise because he was supposed to be the rising star. And therefore, as typical rivals in scenarios such as that, the incumbent will normally dominate and try, of course, to derail the efforts of the Manning was absolutely right, even though he himself was no damn good. Even though he wasn't good. But this fella is the most despicable, the most obnoxious, the most misogynic, a total anti-altruist, a total misanthropist, hater of people. And he is at the helm. Thank God 2025 will come soon. Let us go straight, of course, to what he will not want us to hear and continue to apprise ourselves of the fact that he's no damn good. And that today talking as though he never said that he can't handle the crime, and that when that happens, all you know what to do. He said that all you know what to do, hogwash, old talk, because he has the gift of speech and breath in his lungs. That's all that is about. And in spite of all of that, he tried the church. He tried a symposium of the whole region, all of CARICOM. He tried to say that crime is a public health. He goes to America and tell the whole world. And on the day he was talking, 5 persons got killed in Trinidad while she was in New York. And as though there is some kind of curse on this man, some kind of blight. The day when he went to open that leg of the highway and was spewing his lies about the history of it, a robbery took place, an accident took place that took the lives of 2 persons. He went and cut the ribbon for Nikon 2 weeks after it blew up, and then say he had nothing to do with it, that the government had nothing to do with it. He gave them a bribe, over 100 million US, a bribe, 100 million US. He gave his friend a bribe, Gilbert Gill. And then, as if that was enough, and because his name was being called in the fake oil matter, he got the entire cabinet to close down Petrotrin and put us in a damaging, extremely damaging situation, where if the oil refinery was operating, we would have been bathing in foreign exchange. But because he is bigger than the rest of us, he wants to be on the world stage, we must disgrace him. He must be disgraced, and he must be pulled down, like all dictators who have that level of evil reason that he represents. And the existential threat, the greatest threat to Trinidad and Tobago's democracy, is Rowley and his government. He right now, watching this live, would say, what I do them. Now just imagine that. He would say, and he has the audacity to come out and say it, in public, what I do them. What I do them. All of that evil. And that is par for the course for him. What he would say, however, is that, listen, when you're making changes, there will be some displacement. Just so, as if you're some kind of blasted, as if you were elected to be some kind of mathematician or an accountant, where you're seeing figures and not people. Politicians are not of the ilk to see people as numbers, but to see them as people, as human beings. And you want to help, and you will do what is required, and not steal more than your fair share, or put another way, take more than what the people have prescribed and ascribed to you, and then claiming the same privileges and the same benefits and the same narrative, as if we are stupid and we do not know the difference between a person who is evil, wicked, diabolical, doing us evil, incompetent, everything you touch fails, and telling us something different. Let's look at his cacophonous babblings and his grandstanding, but never meaning what he says. You should be talking about getting out of office now. You should be talking that and accepting that you have failed and that you should be calling an election. Instead, he goes all over the place and then giving himself the impression that everything is honky-dory in Trinidad and Tobago, whilst crime and criminality and the economy is in shambles. Let's go straight.
We are losing the war against the criminal element. We are losing the war against the criminal element. But we hold the government accountable, and the government must be held accountable. The country is awash in blood. There isn't a news item in this country where there isn't a good chance that a major part of the news is who killed who. The people of this country are quite correctly holding this government accountable to secure the country and to make you feel safe.
Yeah. And you know what to do.
We are losing the war against the criminal element. We are losing the war against the criminal element. But we hold the government accountable, and the government must be held accountable. The country is awash in blood. There isn't a news item in this country where there isn't a good chance that a major part of the news is who killed who. The people of this country are quite correctly holding this government accountable to secure the crew feel safe.
Yeah. And then on that speech, he went on to say that if what they are doing is not enough, you know what to do. You know what to do. By him saying that in public, one would have expected, of course, on the reverse side, that if he was a member of the public, that he must know that he has to call elections. That's the only thing that statement could mean. You know what to do. Rowley call elections and stop, of course, provoking the people of Trinidad and Tobago. Let's say him again. And that is, of course, all around 2017. He talking that talk. And you will hear him still say then that is hogwash when the PNM is in government. People saying that there's more murders than any other time. Totally illusion. And out of it, the man is a sociopath serial of an unprecedented, inexplicable, and enigmatic nature. Yeah, the man is a total puzzle.
We are losing the war against the criminal element. We are losing the war against the criminal element. But we hold the government accountable, and the government must. The country is awash in blood. There isn't a news item in this country where there isn't a good chance that a major part of the news is who killed who. The people of this country are quite correctly holding this feel safe.
Yes, people. Yeah. And therefore,
all you agree with me in this tune. I want all of you to pull up the comments with flames and send this tune viral for me, please. I's a madman. So we vote and still back to square one. Look at people still suffering in Vietnam and John. We lose faith in the leader, and I'm not calling no names. We fed up of the lies and the dirty games. So it's right now, we have a vote, no confidence. Now in the country they're doing real nonsense. Now the majority of youth decide to go and pick up guns like you're plain blind and you're deaf and dumb. Like you forget your people once you in power and you're moving evil. You had the whole place sour. And now that we discover is 2% that they offer. This is one little thing that I want all you to remember. You could do much better. Food prices going up too high. We can buy rice or flour. All the load up becoming to flames. Chicken gone up, beans gone up, sausage gone up, cheese gone up. I only want to see flames. Share this video. Man. Kaizo. Somebody say Kaizo.
Yes, indeed.
No, light of my people. Too much of one thing, good for nothing. Too much of good thing, never enough. I don't know why my black people cannot see. No party never care about we. Every election we so devoted. How we love up the PNM. As soon as election come and go, is only problem after problem. How could we cope? Man lost their work, I ain't seeing no solution. Every time PNM come in power, it takes a toll on black man. I don't want to sound like a racist, but this is what I can see. They just take care of the race, cause they damn well know they have we. I want to ring my bell, wake up Eric Williams. Tell him the party funk him PNM needed immediate attention. Ring my bell, wake up Mother Cornhawk. Tell she to cast a spell on we party, cause it's not what it used to be. I ring my bell, I ring my bell down there. I ring my bell, I ring my bell down there. This thing is becoming out of hand. It's time this damn nonsense stop. If you don't sing a PNM song, from Skinner Park you'll be dropped. Calypsonian could have sing what they want. We were the spokesman for the people. Eric Duffy, Chambers Duncy. When Kamala drunk how she like to pee. Calypsonian no, that's no way to go. Too much happening in we country. All this killing spree, young woman body, but only about PNM you could sing. All them songs playing on the radio, all you singing we Kamala do. But when PNM do a wrong thing, I hear in a word from you. I want to ring me bell, wake up Mother Cosell. Every Monday she preach on WAC radio, and is the biggest critic of Calypso. Ring me bell for Patsy and Joni. I want them two cultural lovers to know, not only PNM song is Calypso.
Yes, indeed. And that is how we must see the reality of our circumstance and not bury our heads in the sand like the ostrich and believe that things are going to go away. No, we are human beings, and therefore we must take an existential position, and that is to say that as human beings we have to challenge the status quo and to make certain that what is wrong is corrected. It's corrected for the sake of not only our own generation, but of course those to come as well. Yeah. Yes. We have a police service. Those are the guns that were found. Some guns that somebody hide or throw away in the Santa Cruz forest. Big scene. And I am satisfied that the police service are attempting to do their best. The police service is attempting to do their best. But what have we seen recently? The fellows whose names are being called, in terms of getting fines such as this, and maybe more committed to the job, they're going on 1 year and 6 months holiday. They're going on 1 year at this time. They're going on all that holiday. I think Superintendent, I like to call him Johnny Bravo, but of course the Superintendent Alexander, I think he ain't coming back until 2025. Now, I understand that he was instrumental in, of course, that particular find, that particular discovery. That particular discovery with those guns that you're seeing there. I raise it to make the point of how myopic and how short-sighted, in other words, and how this government responds as if it's knee-jerk or after the fact, and they are not proactive. You have to buy out them fellas holidays if them is the ones that are doing the work. A pleasant good night. Welcome to the corridor. Pleasant good night. Welcome to the corridor.
Good night, Lennox.
Good night to you.
Yeah, your partner Johnny Bravo. Your partner Johnny Bravo got about 10 months and something there.
Yeah,
yeah. So he go up and he talks on TV6. You could be on TV6 regularly.
I don't know.
You don't
I don't know.
By that time.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't
know.
Yeah, because I'm sure he has.
What's so funny about all these Boston and
what you saying?
What's so funny about these Boston them up in Santa Cruz?
Yes.
The gun bus now.
Yeah, the gun bus, yes.
I say what's so funny about that, is that the police ain't find nobody, you know?
No.
So which lead me to believe it Ghost Gang planting them guns?
Well,
it has to be Ghost Gang. They need to get somebody supernatural to fetch them.
No, but they have to really clean them.
It has to be something supernatural planting them guns there, you know?
Well, it's some guns that people throw away. It can be for use, because look at them. They have to clean them out and think dirt all kind of thing. And how that functioning? So something happened there. Maybe the army probably threw away them things some years ago. That's how I conclude, because look at them thing. And nothing more. They didn't find no marijuana. They didn't find no
I
cocaine.
see somebody plan that they pray to go.
Themselves. All
I
that is
see
possible.
them going to get planted and they go into that. They go into that.
They go into that. All
They
right.
planted, they go up here and they go into that.
you
And
could
I said,
be-
no, see, that's
yeah,
the truth. Yeah.
you could be as sarcastic as possible. I agree with you. Yeah. I like that one. It's great to that. All right, partner.
I want to bring up my folk here now.
Go ahead.
The TSCT, right? Downplaying the cyber attack that they had there. That's a couple of weeks ago. We some of the information was leaked out in the dark web, and them saying is nothing to be worried about. Well, if your name in that dark web, somebody come and teach your information and siphon up all your business, your money, whatever you have, and what is it? What is do again is I forget the word is, but they take information to pretend it is you and keep everything that they have in your possession.
Impersonation.
Right? What if somebody do you that?
Impersonate, yeah.
Right, impersonate, yeah. Right. And TSCC go down play that too? Why it is that the manager and all these people responsible for that in being reprimanded, fired or something like that? That is something that's serious business. And you know the government don't see that as nothing happening, you know. But I see a fella make a video there and he says hundreds of people leave and the information outside there. So what you say, they will go and do take your information, right? And then after, they would go and contact you and tell you that oh, there's a certain thing about you and ransom your business towards you. Yes, listen, you see that place is a joke, you know. It's a real joke. I believe Lisa, you guys should have been real inside the chair, hire cars, or this big walk inside it. They make up a portfolio pretty much $80,000 a month. You don't hear what he's doing. He's just a boy toy. But that is a serious business that's going on inside. That's a criminal act. Right? Yeah. Anybody can hack any department in this country. Not too long ago, they hack all the schools and them and they threatened with bombing and all kind of things. Remember that?
Yes.
And up to now, the police haven't catch nobody for that. They really have a cyber arm in this police service to catch anybody because there is a crime going on, you know. Cyber attack is a very integral part in the criminal landscape now. And if the police don't have the way and means to deal with these things, man, these fellas will run roughshod in this country and do all kind of things in every ministry in this government and also in the private areas. Right? Because the police can't deal with it. That is where criminals going on. If they can't hold you up again, they will go and find you on the internet. So ESC is a different type of criminals they're dealing with here now. There is the intelligent one that dealing with cybercrime and technology. When you see these fellas get hooked on you, your dog is still because they can take any part of your information and take away all your possessions from you. And before you know it, when you go and click in your bank account, you see -0. You want to know where that's gone. So these are serious things we're talking about, not only guns at all, but this part of a crime. I don't believe Erland should do for merrymen. I'm a putting what to do with these things because I will have seen, I know people getting caught for all of these actions they're doing. I'm not seeing it. Right, Lennox?
Yeah.
Have a good night.
Same to you, my friend. Same to you, my friend. I understand. I mean, it's only it takes a Trinidadian, of course, to come up with that. They plant it there and it grow. I like that one. Yeah, but I mean, it is ridiculous. And as you rightly said, it is amazing that no one has been caught. Yet still, they would say that it, and of course, intelligence gathering, all of the big time talk, all of the jargons that is associated with, of course, some kind of orchestrated, should I say, raid at the right timing. But you have the material, but you don't have the human beings. That can find itself there, wherever it was. But Rowley confessed already that he cannot handle crime, and yet still he will be all over the place. The latest he was ranting, saying that of course the only thing he didn't do was use obscenity. But of course he's saying that he's fed up. He's fed up. And they will not. It will not be rhetoric, old talk, theatrics. He should be, of course, auditioning to replace probably Tommy Joseph, because I understand he's under the weather. But then he will have to pass through, of course, Larry Joseph. These jokers, indeed. That's what they are, jokers.
You're losing the war against the criminal element. You're losing the war against the criminal element. But you hold the government accountable. And the government must be held accountable. The country is awash in blood. There isn't a news item in this country where there isn't a good chance that a major part of the news is who killed who.
Yes, Hitler.
The people of this country are quite correctly holding this government accountable to secure the country and to make you feel safe. You're losing the war against the criminal element. You're losing the war against the criminal element. But you hold the government accountable. And the government must be held accountable. The country is awash in blood. There isn't a news item in this country where there isn't a good chance that a major part of the news is who killed who. The people of this country are quite correctly holding this government accountable to secure the country and to make you feel safe. You're losing the war against the criminal element. You're losing the war against the criminal element. But you...
Yes, indeed. He confessed to that. Get the hell out of office and stop being the existential threat to the to the democracy, the security, the economy of Trinidad and Tobago. You continue, of course, to apply plasters to, of course, a source that requires elaborate and extensive nurturing and, of course, nursing. Dr. Rowley, you are totally incompetent. You cannot continue with this travesty on the people of Trinidad and Tobago. Listen to Hines. Listen to Hines now.
Only I lock them up. I make it abundantly clear. We don't have the power to prosecute and lock up anybody.
Listen to this buffoon.
For the law enforcement, particularly the police, on the advice of the Director of Public Prosecutions.
The Minister of National Security, Fitzgerald Hines, took a philosophical view of the job of national security forces in Trinidad and Tobago. He says it is a complex job because security personnel are dealing with the complex nature of men and women who engage in crime.
I say that
and you know what is disturbing and will bring anyone to a state of what I consider to be apoplectic. They glibly that they are not responsible for, of course, holding anybody, etc. But you know, when a drug bust take place, they're up in front taking all the credit. When the policy is being laid out, with the hyperboles and the grandiloquence and the hogwash that they would talk, because it was not yet implemented and therefore turns out to be ineffective as their policies and program have been. They give you a lot of talk. What they could do, they have 10-point plan. They have, of course, gotten a drug bust somewhere, and they had recovered some ammunition and some drugs and so on. This thick individual, and he goes to Bad Street where them bad boys are, and then tell them, listen, I come as your brother. Yeah, Hines, I come as your brother to bring goodies for all you. Yeah. The same thing Manning did. Waltz them and, of course, entertain them at the Ambassador Hotel some time ago. He do the same thing. In other words, if you are not part of the solution, you are part of the problem. That's what Rowley say. And these fellas are part of the problem, the major problems for Trinidad and Tobago. So he gone philosophical. I told you earlier that they could describe a situation too bad. Temporarily in an amnesia state, forgetting that they are responsible for addressing the problem, but they could talk about the problem too bad. Listen to him.
The Ministry of National Security has the unenviable task of dealing with controlling human behaviors in the group, in the society, because not everyone buys into the social contract and take the position that I have to develop myself to contribute. I don't have to take what is not mine. I don't have to take more than my fair share, more than I deserve. And if I want more, I study more, I skill up more, I get more.
He says at the root of many evil events we face today is pride and envy. Dealing with crime, he says, goes back to changing the very nature of human beings.
Wow! You hear philosophy?
Human beings are sinful by nature, and you cannot have a crime-free world unless you can achieve a sin-free world, and not even in heaven did we see that. So our job is to manage these behaviors. The society has subscribed that some of them are called crimes. The business of law enforcement is to prevent them as best as we can and to prosecute them.
Money is at the heart of a lot of even the street crime, the murders, gang issues over turf, drug deal gone sour. Somebody owes somebody $10,000. Somebody didn't pay for a gun. Money is at the root of a lot of that evil.
So I've come to you today to tell Brother Sunday.
Going in Bad Street, you know. I hear we telling Brother Sunday. Sunday is a known gangster in that area. He has Minister of National Security. And listen to him carefully. And you wonder why, of course, the situation is as is. They are totally out of their depth. They don't know what they're doing. It's a bunch of ignoramus who, of course, as I keep saying, like a little toddler, a hot cup of water on a table, and the toddler goes towards it, porting, not conscious as to the danger involved. Mommy just turns her back and, true to form, pulls down the cup of water, and it burns the child. And of course, the next thing is hospital and possibly death. That is Rowley and them. They will keep going, keep coming at us, when the only thing to do, because there are people who have performed when they got the opportunity better than you, and you lied to get into office, you deceived the people to get into office, you are undeserving of the positions that you have, you are delinquent, you are indolent, you are dangerous, you are wicked, you are diabolical, you are vindictive, and therefore get the hell out of office. That is what you have to do. All you stop provoking the people of Trinidad and Tobago. Blue lights and silver bracelets await. All you continue.
I know in the ghetto you are a leader, and I know the youth and them look up to you and they follow you. I have come here today to partner with all of you. When the police and the defense, they know as a fact that some of the youth, not all of the youth, not you, but other youth in the community have gun, have machine gun, because you are my brother, you are my son. I know you want to do well. I know you don't want to die. You don't want no bullet in your spine and sit up in a wheelchair for all of your life. I have come here today to offer you an opportunity. I have come here today to let you know we are prepared to work with you. And I want the leader that Brother Sunday is to take a decision and a position.
I had a conversation recently with the commissioner and the National Security.
He goes there. He's your brother, and so on and so forth. Same thing Rowley did. Went up to beat him when he was, of course, opposition leader, and said that he's a special place with special problems, and of course, requires special attention. And what is the special attention? Anti-gang legislation and no bail. Anti-gang legislation and no bail. And even that didn't work, because they simply don't know what they're doing. And they must come to that reality. And let me tell you, this white-collar crime business that they are involved in, these young people know and understand that. They are saying, if you stealing so much and I just taking this, why you must vex with me? Well, listen to Khan and how they praise AV drilling. Remember I told you on the last occasion, I didn't get to the amount of barrels that he said that AV drilling suddenly was able to produce from 100 barrel a day to 4,000 barrel a day. All fake, because right now they can't even make 200 barrels. But they moved from 100 to 400 barrels a day. That is what is fueling the crime, because people are getting more than their fair share too much more than the fair share, and therefore a laptop, and of course the maintenance, if not reduction, in things like electricity, water rate, if they can influence the reduction in rent, reduction in fuel and so on, that will provide more elasticity in the system to employ more and to get those young people focused and operating at a level that they will not be able to focus, or at least no one will be able, or should I say, those who are prepared to engage in a life of crime will not be able to easily influence those who may be out of school and are being told that this is a way to live. Pick up a gun and then engage in your own Russian roulette environment, because you never could tell what could happen out there. You may well end up in the police, as I know several young people have done. They went to, of course, rob someone, and the police cornered them in some lonely area, and they lost their lives. I know of several. I mean, come on. It's over 6,000 young people I have trained, of the worst kind, the society will say. Those who may be engaged or have their children to engage in a life of crime, Rowley and them know nothing. I am not talking ad hominem or because I want to talk. I speak because I am authoritative in terms of what I'm saying. It was I who, of course, it was my idea to form the what is now known as the Laventil Technology and Continuing Education Center. Not he. Not he. His dreadlocks too thin to think so far. Too thin. In Laventil, he is called, of course, the peacock. Plenty flair but no depth. And is the most incompetent individual I know, and most obnoxious and obscene individual, and very acrid in his dismissing of the very young people that he went to talk to and about. That is how dangerous these fellas are, and will orchestrate to kill them based on the office and the whole as National Security Minister, and then put his hands up. You saw when they run him out of the beat him. The young man who was eventually charged for wetting him, notice, he ended up dead. He ended up dead. Because they believe that they are above the law, and that they can, of course, incite in such a way so that people see them as some kind of demigod. I say to you, there is nothing sacrosanct about them. There is nothing sacrosanct PNM. There is nothing sacrosanct or sacred about their policies and programs, and they are, in reality, of course, have capitalized on the residual popularity of the PNM, and there are those who, of course, that are sycophant and apologists, and who would, of course, have some kind of residual sympathy for the PNM, and therefore these fellas, all they have to do is to dream up and conjure up and manufacture old talk, diatribe, in the form of policies and programs, and tell you, in talk of course, and tell you that he could do more with less, and that the country is running on fumes, and that somebody sent emails here and there, and that they were planning to kill a journalist, and that of course they pull out a clause from the OS contract, and they amended a clause, and so Trinidad and Tobago lost $1 billion, man, and they could go on and on ad nauseum. A bunch of nutheads, heartless, brutal, and cruel. There should be no sympathy for them. Yes. Goes to Bad Street and talking. Listen to him again.
Sunday. I know in the ghetto.
Yeah, the fellow name is Sunday. You hear him?
Drug deal gone sour. Somebody owe somebody $10,000.
They know all the problem, but can't solve it. They get paid to do it.
Of a lot of that evil.
Yeah, they get paid.
So I've come to you today to tell you.
Let's go straight to the line. Let's go straight to the line. A pleasant good night. Welcome to the corridor. Welcome to the corridor. Welcome to the line. So I added the decline one. Two persons here, so I'll take this one.
Hi, Lennox. I just want to make it quick, President.
Yes.
Hi, Lennox. There's a good night to you and everybody on the line.
Yes.
There's a good night. Right. So, Jamaica suspend our currency for whatever reason. I don't know if you know about it.
No, I ain't get that one yet. Go ahead.
Yeah, they suspend the currency. I know what is the reason. I don't know what is the reason for them doing it. But that is why I see kind of circulating on Facebook.
All right, that's a dangerous development, you know.
And right now, I watching those guns. I watching them guns and them with them police and them say what a fine day. I still trying to figure out if would them share me if it's something that they cut off from in a movie or a TV series. Because I know when they're watching them TV series and them where crime is constant, them crime TV series, they see the police and them overseas, holding the people and them who is responsible for the guns and the whole, and they getting the guns and the drugs.
Yes, right.
But in Trinidad, yeah, come like we watching something that's playing off in Hollywood.
I mean,
that is the how I can see it.
Yeah, it is hilarious. Yeah, it is ridiculous.
Right, so I just said about calling and just.
I hear you. Thank you very much. Thank you very much for your intervention. I'm going to look up that situation with the currency of Trinidad and Tobago compared to Jamaica, because I think ours is supposed to be, in terms of exchange value, I think we have a higher exchange than that of Jamaica. So I find it difficult. And we being the manufacturing hub of the Caribbean, why would that be a development? So I will look into it. I am not confirming anything until I get the full. I want to tell you, of course, the last caller that I will play, of course, in the last stanza of this live. I'll play it again tomorrow too, of course, Kabla Prasad Bisesa and the situation with respect to OAS. Let's go to the call that was that was left back. A pleasant good night. Welcome. It's a good night. Welcome.
Good night again, Lennox.
Yes.
I'm telling you on the last caller, if I want to go planting gun probably, they are like just para happy to come and exercise them. Right? Well, para happy come and exercise and they will catch all of them. I mean, you go catch them.
Yeah.
I want to go to Invert.
Go ahead. Right?
Invert come on the TV this week, masquerading, saying all the public servants getting their salary by December.
Yes.
He moving the mountain and the ocean to get them that, right?
Yeah.
That is part of the PNM electoral plan for the next year, you know.
Yeah.
To open up the public.
Don't be surprised if they plan that. They plan that. Yeah, they are very evil people. They plan that. Yeah. Yes, go ahead.
The Prime Minister made a statement, you have to get the rich richer. And he make a deal with the people and them saying that I'm going to offload this money for these public servants to come inside all the place and spend it. Because why did he even say in his statement? They only got the money or just spend it fast. Right? He tell the public servants and that. You know, he said for them to save it for really no. He tell them all to go out and spend it fast. So when they get the money for Christmas, it's two stores they will go in. The 1% stores and all of these other businesses and spend the money there because they can't make money after Christmas with that. So make it during Christmas because people just have I watch it spend in street and I have it in the street for some time, right? So that is why he's moving mountain and water to give these people the money. But it's amazing that they can do that with other areas in the economy, right? They can only do things, the party, and that is part of the election plan to give public servants that. And you will see more goodies coming out.
Yes.
You will see next year things will be playing out easy, a little more easy in the budget and all these other things with regards to the people. To give them a little more, watch and say, happiness not some of the things that they were supposed to do, only 8 years in power. But all these things is just a mirror image. So when you look in the mirror,
yes,
all you need to do one
smoke mirrors,
don't play for the next 2024.
Smoke screens, yes. Smoke screen, we know that.
The money wasn't seen before, and you will be seeing it next year. So the people got a little bit of prosperity, but all that is the no dressing. We know that. The real thing is that this country downward decline, and the Minister of Finance is a big liar. And he, along with the PNM, must continue to in this country in the doldrums that continue. Have a good day, Lennox.
Yes, indeed. And of course, don't be surprised if it is part of their shenanigans, part of their playbook that they would, of course, give and take and pull back and so on. Because look what else required before the reintroduction? Laptops. And even when they did it, they talk about a means test. Textbooks. Obsolete as it is, Jurassic as it is, we're talking about electronic books, not that they use the same computer to do it. If it's coming up beside processor, and they wouldn't be talking about these heavy books that will bring those young children back, what we call in local parlance, bossy back, make them bossy back. So these fellas are short-sighted and they are, as I said, obnoxious, bold-faced face, and then come in our faces, and all they can do, and it's as if they are living to do that. Their raison d'etre is to do us evil and to try to stay in office to continue to do us evil. But none of it. Of course, the people, let me say at this point in time, because we have our Christmas exercise, I must say that, of course, the number to call, you can, if you want to make a contribution, a hamper, you can, a toy, wherever it is. We normally will do that every Christmas, give away that. But food, I think, is the most important thing now. Of course, the number to call is the other number, not the 337-6940. That is what you'll get me at here. But of course, the 336-6594, 336-6594. My assistant, of course, will be willing to assist and is on standby during the day as well, any time of the day. I just call that number, 336-6594, and of course, whatever contribution you want to make, it could be in kind, it could be in funds, it could be whatever part of the world, whatever form you want to send the resources, we'll appreciate that, because I know we have a task on our hands this year in particular, because so many people have already been asking and telephoning, and we normally would take a list, and it appears to be inexhaustive even at this early stage. But we have been there before. We just have to, of course, divide what we have, as small as it is, and try to give everybody something to enjoy their Christmas. I mean, Christmas is a time traditionally when, of course, children in particular look forward to a toy. They look forward to something special to eat. And the big people as well, because, of course, I was reading something just the other day about human beings. And it is said that human beings are one of those, should I say, creatures that they don't change from birth to, of course, adulthood. Insects, You have, of course, for example, the butterfly will turn to egg and then caterpillar and then a butterfly. Then, of course, you have mosquitoes will have eggs, and then they have, of course, they have their pupa, and then, of course, they will turn to a mosquito. Well, human beings stay the same way right through until adult. They come out this way and they just grow the same way, etc., etc. Very, very interesting. Very interesting. I haven't gotten the full grasp of the concept, but there's a particular concept that they refer to in terms of living things don't change from birth, as opposed to those that do change, go through different stages before they become adults or mature. That being as it may, I had them. Let me just finish, of course, Heinz, and then, of course, I promised to treat with a video that was sent, I think, by one of the callers with respect to the OAS highway and the OS, the highway to Point Fortin. It is very, very interesting because it is a video with Kamala Persad-Bissessar as Prime Minister, and she was opening a leg of the highway, and you'll get a better understanding. So the hogwash Dr. Rowley is talking, I think, will easily be dissipated. And, of course, the grandstanding that he would give, of course, in the parliament he talk about a joint select committee, and of course outside he says, of course, he gave $11 already, but not one sitting of a so-called commission of inquiry by his good friend, of course, Justice Vento, who came out of the Integrity Commission in 2015 and talking the same talk that Rowley was talking, that while, of course, those emails couldn't go anywhere, of course, he wants the content of them to be investigated. Total hogwash, total incongruent, total mentally deranged. I mean, it's a total case of non-compos mentis, of unsound mind individuals who are so greedy for power. But power intoxicates and make men greedy. The problem with these guys is that power also corrupts, and absolute power corrupts absolutely, and that is Rowley and all of his minions and his apologists and his supporters, and those who, of course, are not prepared to accept the reality of Trinidad and Tobago today, but to, of course, engage in some kind of illusionary jaunt that they themselves will eventually be asking for mercy for the nonsense and supporting, of course, that level of evil that is Rowley and his minions. Let's finish with Heinz, the current Minister of National Security, encouraging gangsters. But let's hear him for ourselves.
To tell Brother Sunday, I know in the ghetto you are a leader, and I know the youth and them look up to you and they follow you. I have come here today to partner with all of you. When the police and the defense force seeing them videos, they know as a fact that some of the youth, not all of the youth, not you, but other youth in the community have guns, have machine guns, because you are my brother, you are my son. I know well, I know you don't want to die, you don't want no bullet in your spine and sit on in a wheelchair for all of your life. I have come here today to offer you an opportunity. I have come here today to let you know we are prepared to work with you. And I want the leader that Brother Sunday is to take a decision and a position.
I had a conversation recently.
Let's end that hogwash. Let's end that dotishness. Total dotishness. That is the Minister of National Security talking that way. I mean, it's just hilarious. But let's go straight, of course.
Honorable Minister Amachan, Honorable Minister Stacey Rupnarayan, Honorable Ministers in the audience who are here with us, Dr. Carson Charles, Honorable Dr. Munilal, and of course our friends from OAS. Put your hands together as we congratulate OAS for bringing in this project. distinguished ladies and gentlemen, constituents of Oropouche East, Oropouche West, and I hope some from my own constituency of Superior. All of you from the South, can we hear you? Good evening to you. Thank you for your support. Thank you very much. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, it was just about over 3 years ago, Dr. Charles, that we were gathered somewhere on this.
Of course, this is Kamala Prasad Bisesa on the opening of part of the highway when she was Prime Minister, and you will get a better appreciation as to what transpired as far as that is concerned. I want to thank, of course, my good friend who, of course, make his contribution in more ways than one for, of course, attracting my attention to this particular video. I did a little sprucing up in it and so on in order for you to better appreciate it. But Rowley's lies and, of course, distractions have no limit, because he's using this, of course, as a distraction for the crime and criminality and the possibility that he believed that he could waltz and call an election hoping that he surprise everybody and believe that he will get back into office. We must give him no chance, none whatsoever. Blue lights and silver bracelets must only be the focus of all of us. They must pay the price, criminal and civil, for their evil deeds. Let's continue, of course, with Kamala Prasad Bisesa and the opening, and you will have an appreciation as to what the highway was all about and the role of the government at that time. Here is Kamala Prasad Bisesa as Prime Minister opening that leg of the highway. Listen carefully.
I think Suraj captured my speaking notes. Honorable Minister Abachan, Honorable Minister Stacey Rupnarine, Honorable Ministers in the audience who are here with us, Dr. Carson Charles, Honorable Dr. Monilal, and of course our friends from OAS. Put your hands together as we congratulate OAS for bringing in this project. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, constituents of Oropouche East, Oropouche West, and I hope some from my own constituency of Superior. All of you from the South, can we hear you? Good evening to you. Thank you for your support. Thank you very much. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, it was just about over 3 years ago, Dr. Charles, that we were gathered somewhere on the side. Now it's so different from 3.5 years ago, when we turned the sun to begin this extension of this highway, which will take us into point 14. So that was what, about 3 years, January 2011? 2011. Yeah, so over 3 years. And OAS has said to me that they will bring in stay. I will be very surprised. I want to be surprised. Please bring in the project. Bring in more of it, you all agree? Let's get more of the highway built, get a lot of it done. And so I am very, very happy this evening to participate in the opening of this interchange, because once we open the Golconda to Debe leg of the highway, the interchange produced on evenings, mornings, right here, 2 minutes you'll be down in Debe, and for me, living parallel on the Philippine side, I'll be home from this end to there in a matter of minutes. And
once again, just in case you just joined us, of course, it is fact-finding time. Facts about, of course, not FAX like Rowley. FACT, fact. Finding time. And the true story and the hogwash that Rowley spoke, abusing the parliament, abusing even outside of the parliament, talking totally different to the chairman. The man is a despicable con man. Let's hear Kamala Prasad Bisesa. So if you just joined us, this is the facts about the highway to point 14, and dismiss the hogwash that Rowley talking. That man is so despicable. He's fishing all over the place to justify the fact that he had to pay back the $1 billion that we can't afford, attention away from his iniquities.
I see some people are saying
False.
spending more time at home. And I'm very grateful for this leg of the highway, because when I finish work in Port of Spain, no matter how late it is, because I know that I can get home in a shorter space of time, I do try to spend more time at home after work with my family. Indeed, I saw a blog today saying that I have now set up a cabinet meeting room in South because I don't want to take the long drive into Port of Spain. That's not why we did it. And I lead off from that because we talk about development in the north, in the south, in the east, and in the west. And so upstairs of the teaching hospital, there is a boardroom for the Southwest Regional Health Authority. And in the same way that cabinet ministers journey to Port of Spain on a Thursday for cabinet meetings, I see no reason why the second city of our country, San Fernando, should not also host cabinet meetings. And that is one of the reasons why we try to hold at least one cabinet meeting in San Fernando. And yes, tomorrow they are to San Fernando at the teaching hospital, where we'll host our cabinet meeting, our weekly cabinet meeting. And so, with the completion of this interchange, the traffic situation will definitely be improved. Stacey told you earlier, she spent 45 minutes from Pinal to Davie, from Batcha, Pinal to Davie, and then a few minutes to get here on the highway itself. Rhythmic is going to be eased, and OS and Dr. Charles and Dr. Ramachan have all told me and Stacey that we will be opening the Davie interchange by the end of the year. This year? Yes? And from Davie, I'm told the other leg from Davie to Pinal is well underway. Construction works there. What percentage have we reached, Dr. Charles, from Davie to Pinal? That leg. June next year, Davie to Pinal. And then we are also working from Point Fortin, coming back this way.
That's the part I want you to hear. Canon Day most despicably, and I'll play tonight, telling us that it was the UNC Billa Highway to debate to their constituents or their constituency. Kamala said that they started as well from Point Fortin side and coming back. And she was Prime Minister, she talking as Prime Minister there. Canon Day must be held, if I had my way, for treason. Rowley and the whole bunch of them for treason, for trying, of course, to unseat a government in the way that they have done. Emails, false, and the most heinous act they could think of. There it is. Can't talking about what? It was a highway to Pinal, where Kamala Prasad Bisasa administration, every single thing to malign, and they believe that they have a license to do that, lie and deceive, without consequences. Without consequences, people. But let's continue with Kamala. So we know that that's a total lie.
To Faizabad. So work is taking place at both ends, and the two shall meet one day soon, we hope, in the new year. So we look forward to the completion of that Davie interchange later this year. We look forward to the segment Pinal, Davie to Pinal, Pinal to Saparia, Saparia to Faizabad to join at Mondesi. Now, people keep talking about Pinal, Davie, Saparia, and they identify those areas as saying they are my constituency. Yes, I'm proud of that. They are. From Saparia, you have Santa Flora, you have Palaseco, Los Bajo, Losiro. All those areas in the southwest will be opened up when this gateway, as Dr. Charles has called it, this gateway to the southwest peninsula is completed. This gateway is completed, and the rest of the highway. So as we progress on this project, there are still those who want this highway stopped. At least the segment to Mondesi. And this in spite of the orders of the High Court and the Court of Appeal. I want to remind you that on 3 separate occasions, the court refused to grant a stop order on that segment of the highway. And so I think as a society, as a nation, as a country must be prepared to accept the rule of law. If you fail to accept the rule of law, it will be chaos and anarchy. Each individual wants things their own way. When there is a dispute in days of old, they will pick up swords and axes, battle axes, and fight each other man to man, men to men. And then when they invented the gunpowder, they would take guns and cannons. And now in the nuclear age, when there is a war, they come with nuclear power. But in a civilized democratic society with obeying of the rule of law, when there is a dispute, the arbitrator is the court, the judiciary. And therefore we must be bound, otherwise it will be your strength against my strength. And a society that wants to live on brute force will descend into nothing and into chaos. And so I'm saying on 3 occasions, the Court of Trinidad and Tobago, the High Court, and then the Court of Appeal, refused to grant an order to stop the highway. And those who could not get the court to get what they want are now using extrajudicial means to try to get what.
Let's pause, and of course we'll take the call. We'll take the call. Of course, pleasant good night. Welcome. Pleasant good night. Welcome.
Yes, Lennox. A pleasant good night to you and everybody. Pleasant good night to you and everybody on the live again. Pleasant good night. No, that video where you're playing there was sent here, right?
Yes.
No, it was something else I was looking for. Because when I hear we name the minister works there, Ruhan Sinanam.
Yeah.
I just call him sinful man. He's a sinful guy. When you talk about the highway bill international standard.
Right.
No, I was trying to get the footage of the Gorkonda interchange in San Fernando.
Right.
Because if you watch the signage on that interchange, that is international standard. What they do here in Point Forty, that is something that they did way back in the 19th century, 18th century. It hardly has signage. Yeah, they take a torture to see where you go when they come in into Point Forty. So that hogwash show sinful man was talking about international standard. That is a blatant lie. But I was looking for some footage of conduct interchange, but I come across this video and I say, but let me take a listen to this because this thing must be have some substance. And when I realized the nuclear weapon is having that video, I will send this to you. And I know you go listen to it and you go bring it across clear as crystal.
That's right.
Listeners.
Thank you very much, and I want to thank you, of course, very much for your perceptive nature, and of course, it is doing well, and it is doing human service to, I'm sure, all who would now be exposed. Yes, people. So the talk about it was a highway to debunked. That is the Prime Minister then who was responsible for the initiation of that highway.
They want. But I say God is always great. We put our faith in the rule of law and in God, and justice will be done. When this matter was taken to the court, I want to quote the words of the learned judge in the hearing and the ruling of April 7th, 2014, and I quote, "In considering the balance of justice, the granting of an order to stop the highway to secure a right of review must be balanced against the tremendous cost that the taxpayer has already borne and the stupendous cost that he or she will bear as a result of this grant." I continue the words of the learned judge, and I quote, "To this must be added the continued burden on the oppressive traffic faced by thousands of motorists." I continue from the judge's decision. "I must bear in mind as well that the review sought to be protected by this order is not guaranteed to result in any substantial design alteration, and at least on the basis of Dr. Armstrong's report is unlikely to lead to a reroute of the highway." I quote these words from you, from the learned judge, when he ruled against those persons who wanted you to undergo and to continue to undergo hardship on our roads. It is interesting that they no longer object to the construction of the Davie to Penal segment of the highway. Beyond this segment, I say there are no wetlands, and as a result, the opposition to the segment from Penal to Bundesi baffles me. There are no wetlands. Indeed, aerial shots will show that the Davie to Penal segment is partly built up areas, Penal, Superior, Faizabad. Those areas are where people live, not the swampland, not the wetlands. It is because of the choice of this alignment, which connects the towns of Davie, Penal, Superior, and Faizabad, that the acquisition of properties became necessary. As I understand it, the process of acquisition is being achieved through private treaty negotiations, and no one has been forced out of their homes. The process may have taken a bit longer, preferred way of this government. Resorting to the Commission of Valuations will always be a last resort. In addition, as you are probably aware, rental accommodation for those whose properties have been acquired is being provided for at least 6 months so that we will have an easy transition.
And I want you to take note, she talked about private treaty as she talked about the use of the Commissioner of Valuations, a government officer, a government department. Why? You see, Dr. Rowley and they're damn fast at the outer place. The government of the day decided to have private treaty. He calls a commission of inquiry because they decide to have a private treaty as opposed to, of course, the Commissioner of Valuations, a government entity that would, of course, be responsible for valuing properties, etc. But I'll tell you why. Why I would have preferred that if I was the owner of land that is supposed to be acquired for the highway. Private treaty means that I could make an offer and we could negotiate. When the Commissioner of Valuation go there, he calculates based probably on what the commercial value is, and that's it. But in my property on the commercial scale may cost $1,000. But if you're coming to acquire my property, a place where I grew up, I born, I grew up, all my friends, my neighbors, I went and I pitched marble. I probably had some agricultural work doing, so I'm trying to put the scenario down on that side. I have my agricultural plot, all of that. The commissioner of valuations, government commissioner, in taking that into consideration, you know. But when you say, listen, give me $2,000 for my land because of the inconvenience and the displacement and the mental and psychological pain and trauma that I have to endure because I'm born here, grew up here, all my friends here, I'll be leaving some of my neighbors. That is a real human situation. Understand the beast that is Rowley and they. Rowley and they, he called a commission of inquiry because he find that them people get too much money for the land. But it is in those circumstances, you can't pay a man for that because they would have never sell it. It is invaluable to them. Something that is invaluable means that it is priceless to them. You know, if it was Rowley and land it, why do you think he never sell land it? Because nobody could pay him the price that he wants. But they always like to, of course, do people evil because they believe that the government is and they are the government, vice versa, and somehow that somebody leave the treasury of Trinidad and Tobago for them. Rowley, stop provoking the people of Trinidad and Tobago. You are evil, you are criminal, you are diabolical, and you should be in prison. You're rapist and pedophile. We're going to deal with that part of it in not too long from now. That part of it, the rape and pedophile part of it, we'll deal with that soon. But the fact of the matter is that you get angry. How the hell you going to tell me that the Commission of Evaluation must stay in our office, look on some kind of map and say what the land is selling for in that area, and just, of course, give a decision? No. And I say you're damn fast, Rowley, because the government of the day took the position that they must have private treaty, talk with the people, because they are people-centered. You are beast-centered. You are asinine specimen of inhumanity, and you're wicked, and you ain't saving anybody anything, because all the money you say you save, whether it's the corrupt exchange, I don't know where again, where the money gone? How come you still have to impose property tax and you save so much money? Give us a break, you blasted thief. Kleptocracy.
All amenities. Further, these lands have been reserved for social and cultural purposes, including recreation grounds, not been ignored. And in fact, a social impact study utilizing the World Bank objectives was done to mitigate the social impact. In the execution of this contract, I am pleased to see the level of local input, including the ratio of local to foreign personnel employed. I am told that 91% of the employees are locals. Oh yes, thank you very much for that.
All that was part of it.
Of our technical and engineering personnel employed on the project, the gain to the country through the transfer of technology will be significant.
And if you hear Rowley, you would think it's only OS alone. OS alone, that's how we talking. That wicked evil man. Only to impress you and convince himself that his evil is working. Disabuse yourself, people. Engage in a catharsis. And if necessary, down at the chamber of the parliament when it was on Ricey Road. Yeah. I saying a prayer to get rid of the UNC, when in fact it should have been a prayer to make sure that Rowley see the light of day. But now we know, and that therefore he must now be excommunicated, he must be expelled, he must be jettisoned, he must of course be annihilated from the politics of Trinidad and Tobago and the PNM, dumped into the dustbin of political history, never to return. We just have to watch at what has happened in Balize House and to know that they are not only deserving, but is the most appropriate for them, blue lights and silver bracelets.
Thus far, I am told over 600 local firms have been supplying goods and services to the main contractor, OAS. Challenges we faced many. This is a very complex project, perhaps one of the largest of its kind in our country, which has had its fair share of challenges as is expected with projects like these. I'll give you some examples. The project involved the capping of oil wells. In the Guapo area alone, some 39 wells have been capped to facilitate construction.
And Rowley wouldn't say that, neither the current Minister of Works. Don't believe it. They give away the money if you listen to them. Wicked. And as Carson Charles rightly said, how the hell you could have had a highway from Point 14 to San Fernando if these things weren't done? And of course to castigate those who shell the nuts. You just put on the surface. In other words, you just blast and eat. And come in, of course, to try to cast aspersions on others. People, of course, we will continue with this tomorrow. I promise that we will do that, complete that in the morning. Dr. Khalid and myself. It's already, of course, 30 minutes past 10. I don't want to keep you longer because, of course, we started early. We started on time as well. So we will, of course, continue tomorrow morning. And certainly we will, of course, draw the ultimate conclusion and make the comparison. And I'm glad too, because I didn't get the video with Khan saying that it was a highway to debate, most despicable, obnoxious, political avarice, greed, and total criminals, dunderheads, malfeasance, misfeasance, and dangerous to Trinidad and Tobago. So people, of course, you would forgive me, right? So I will pause there, and then, of course, we will continue tomorrow morning from 8 to 10, and then, of course, from tomorrow night, back here tomorrow night, 8 to, of course, 10 in the PM. That being as it may, have a wonderful rest of the night. God bless. And of course, we will see each other tomorrow morning, Dr. Khalid and myself. Of course, I want to make certain that we understand clearly what has to be done ultimately, and that is
execute the criminals. If they've been on, defend them with alacrity.
Your vote will decide our destiny. Your vote will decide what you want to be. Your vote can foretell our country's fate. Move and use it well before it's too late. If it is that who you're voting, fail beyond a doubt. When you're voting, vote them out. Vote them out. If it is they prove it to be only full amount. When you're voting, vote them out. Vote them out. If it is the time is now that change should come about. Just as how you vote them in, vote them out. Register and vote them out. If they don't see, vote them out. Stain your finger and vote them out. Show them no mercy, vote them out. Put them out with total scorn and utter disdain. Let's put our country together again. Put them out of power to be their reign. Let's put our country together again.
them in, and his only test as soon as they win. They give you big words and enslave your souls, promising you roads and giving potholes. Your vote will decide our destiny. Your vote will decide what you are to be. Your vote can foretell our country's fate. Move and use it well before it's too late. If it is that who you're voting, fail beyond a doubt. When you're voting, vote them out. Vote them out.
Tobago, a PNM minister, and went to the Prime Minister of Trinidad and Tobago in August 2003. As a Minister of Government in Trinidad and Tobago, a PNM minister, and told him that there was bid rigging taking place in Udicott.
Patrick, could I be like you? Yes. Should I fool the people too? Yes. You see, all these years I sing in calypso, I sing in the truth. Still can't win the crown. They just teach me in tongue. Can't buy my own house, no. Look at renting still. But just like you, is a palace I want to build. Maybe I have to be a politician in TNT. Cause calypso money, can't build no palace for me. I want a palace just like yours, with about 300 doors. Calypso can't give me that. I'm telling you flat, flat, flat. One fish for 20,000. I want about 10 dozen. Diplomatic center too. I dream to keep fit like you. Patrick, could we start building soon? Yes. Could we start in the month of June? Yes. Did you take land from the poor? Yes. Will they still vote you for sure? Yes. Oh no. 1 million. 2 million. 3 million. 4 million. 1 billion. Who said? 2 billion. 3 billion. 4 billion.
If you happen to see and know when politics going wrong, with facts and figures prepared to show, it's better to bite your tongue. To them political boss, who the people trust and get double cross. As to your health, their priorities and performances on the par. It's poetic to hear them describe to you who you are. First of all, you're a megalomaniac, a power seeker, a crazy or a crack, troublemaker. And if you tell them that the economy is no longer in full bloom, then you become a prophet of doom and gloom.
I have a political cemetery. It's not for people like you and me. It is for all them politicians, and I dig in their grave, no fuck with me hand. I find some of them, they living too long, and every 5 years is the same old song. Some of them dead, just shame to lie down, so I prepare for them a burial ground. Rowley, my first grave for he, with joy in my heart, put him down with glee. All of them useless politicians, only making up numbers in my island. Al-Rari, I refuse body, I leave them Muslim, them to deal with he. Big smile on my face and with maybe a hand. It's time to move trash from out of this land. Him but I taking my time with he. I personally will prepare his body. Make sure he have a sardonic grin on his face. That's all he does do, that man is a waste. Bury in the back of my cemetery, turn he upside down, he face I can see. Look for the strongest grave digger to cover he. Not with the hand, put good fork on he. Gypsy, political grasshopper. I may feel little pity cause he's my brother, but like he's swinging from vine to vine. It's time I help you to make up your mind. Fitzgerald, Rasta City, I know they go glad to get the body recipe. I don't care all who go vex with me, but Kamala I not ready to bury. She is a strong, determined woman like me, and deserve a chance to run this country. When she in power, I don't go hungry, and Calypsonian does get big money. She don't deserve no spot in my cemetery. I putting she in the center of the city. Ready. She is a strong, determined woman like me, and deserve a chance to run this country. When she in power, I don't go hungry, and Calypsonian does get big money. She don't deserve no spot in my cemetery. I putting she in the center of the city. I don't care all who go vex with me, but Kamala I not ready to bury. She is a strong, determined woman like me, and deserve a chance to run this country. When she in power, I don't go does get big money. She don't deserve no spot in my cemetery. I putting she in the center of the city. Paula, you too damn lazy. You sit on a throne while women die daily. You deserve a nice spot in my cemetery.